Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be taking a closer look at some really fascinating trends that are shaping the future of aviation.
Yeah.
It's a pretty dynamic industry right now. Lots of innovation happening across several different areas, so we're going to try to break it down, make sense of it all.
Yeah, lots to cover.
Our focus for this deep dive is going to be on sustainability, fleet modernization, and how airlines are reimagining the experience for premium passengers. And to help us navigate all of this, we've got a set of really interesting articles from Asian Aviation, all published around April 9th, 2025.
Looking forward to it.
All right, so let's jump right into it. The first article that really caught my eye was about a joint investment by Airbus and Qantas into something called Climate Tech Partners, or CTP. It's a venture capital fund, and what's really interesting is that it's specifically focused on sustainable aviation fuel, SAF.
Yeah, and that focus is really key here. I mean, CTP isn't just some general climate fund. It's very specifically targeted at technologies that can make aviation more sustainable, particularly here in Australia.
And this seems like a pretty strategic move, right? Because it's not just about throwing money at the problem. It's about investing in very specific solutions.
Absolutely. I think both Qantas and Airbus, as the article points out, recognize that there's this big gap between promising early stage climate technologies and actually getting them to a point where they can be used commercially on a large scale.
And CTP's approach seems to be all about bridging that gap. They're not just providing capital, they're actively working with these corporate partners to develop these solutions.
Yeah, it's a really hands-on approach. They're involved in everything from the nitty-gritty of SAF production to figuring out where to get the raw materials, the feedstocks, and making sure the whole supply chain can actually work.
Now, this new investment, it's not just a one-off thing either, is it?
No, not at all. It actually builds on a much larger partnership between Qantas and Airbus that started back in 2022, a U.S. $200 million commitment to accelerating the development and adoption of SAF. So this is clearly a long-term commitment.
It's a really significant commitment. I mean, it suggests that both of these companies see sustainable aviation fuel as absolutely essential to the future of their industry.
Definitely. They're putting their money where their mouth is, and they're not just talking about sustainability, they're actually taking concrete steps to make it happen.
And, there's some great quotes in the article that really drive that point home. Julie Kitcher from Airbus, she talks about how important collaboration is, bringing together everyone from aircraft manufacturers to governments and investors. And then Fiona Massent at Qantas, she makes this really strong statement that SAF is the most effective tool we currently have for decarbonizing aviation.
Yeah, those are really powerful statements. I mean, Kitcher's point about the need for a truly collaborative approach resonates really strongly, right? We need everyone on board if we're going to make significant progress. And Massent's focus on SAF, it highlights just how critical this is. I mean, if we want to make flying more sustainable, SAF is really the key.
And it's not just about the environmental benefits either, is it? I mean, Fiona Massent also talks about the potential economic advantages for Australia. Things like improved fuel security, creating new jobs, boosting the economy.
Exactly. So it's not just an environmental issue. There's a really strong economic case to be made here as well. And for a country like Australia, which is geographically isolated, being able to produce its own sustainable aviation fuel could be a huge advantage.
So for our listeners out there, what's the takeaway from all of this?
Well, I think the big takeaway here is that the aviation industry is getting serious about tackling climate change. They're investing heavily in finding real solutions, and sustainable aviation fuel is definitely front and center in that effort.
So this isn't just greenwashing, this is real action.
Right. They're putting their money where their mouth is, and this suggests that sustainable aviation fuel is really going to be a game changer in the long run. So flying in the future might have a much smaller environmental impact than it does today.
Now let's move on to our next topic, which is about EVA AIr and their recent order for new aircraft from Airbus. It looks like they're going for a pretty significant fleet modernization.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's a big order. They finalized a deal for 6 long-range A350-1000s and 3 single-aisle A321neos.
And this was actually a commitment that they initially announced back in March of 2025, but now it's a firm order. So they're adding 9 new aircraft to their fleet, which brings their total outstanding orders with Airbus to 24 A350-1000s and 18 A321neos. That's quite an investment.
That's a lot of airplanes.
It is. And Clay Sun, the president of EVA AIr, He highlights that these new aircraft are really key to their commitment to both sustainable aviation practices and providing a top-notch travel experience for their passengers.
Yeah, it seems like they're really looking to hit both of those goals, sustainability and passenger comfort, with these new additions to their fleet.
And this seems to be a trend we're seeing across the airline industry, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Airlines are increasingly looking for aircraft that are not only more fuel efficient, but also offer a better experience for passengers.
All right, so let's get into the specifics of these aircraft, starting with the A350-1000. The article refers to it as a long-range leader, and it sounds pretty impressive.
Oh, it's a beast. The A350-1000 has the longest range of any commercial airliner currently in production.
Really?
Yeah, it can fly up to 9,700 nautical miles nonstop.
Wow.
It's like a really long way, and it brings 25% less fuel and produces 25% less CO2 emissions compared to older aircraft in its class.
So significantly more fuel efficient and a much smaller carbon footprint.
Right. And on top of that, it's already certified to fly on a blend of up to 50% SAFA.
Wow, so it's already half compatible.
It is, yeah. And Airbus is aiming for it to be fully SAF compatible 100% by
Wow.
2030.
And that really ties in with what we were just talking about with the investments in SAF production. It's like everything's starting to connect.
Exactly. So the industry is really preparing for a future where SAF becomes the standard fuel for aviation.
And the A350 family as a whole seems to be doing really well. The article mentions that they've received over 1,360 orders from 60 customers worldwide.
Wow, that's a lot of orders.
It is. It really shows how popular this aircraft is.
Definitely. Airlines are clearly recognizing the benefits of this aircraft, both in terms of its efficiency and its environmental performance.
Now, the other aircraft that EVA AIr is adding to their fleet is the A321neo, which is a single-aisle aircraft, so it's designed for shorter routes.
Yeah, more regional flights, but even though it's a smaller aircraft, it still boasts some pretty impressive fuel efficiency gains.
How so?
Well, it's part of the A320neo family, which is known for its fuel efficiency. It has new engines, sharklets on the wings, and various other improvements that help it save around 20% on fuel compared to older models.
20%, that's huge.
Yeah, it's a significant difference, and that translates into lower costs for airlines and, of course, lower emissions.
And the A321neo is actually incredibly popular. It's captured over 80% of the market in its category.
That's right. It's gotten over 6,800 orders from more than 90 customers since it was launched in 2016.
So it's a real workhorse for airlines around the world.
Definitely. It's reliable, fuel efficient, and it has a good passenger capacity. It's a winning combination.
So for our listeners, what does this all mean? What's the takeaway from EVA AIr's fleet modernization?
Well, it's a good sign that airlines are investing in these newer, more fuel-efficient aircraft. It means that we're moving towards a future where flying has a smaller environmental impact.
And it also likely means a better experience for passengers, right?
Yeah, exactly. These new planes are often quieter, more spacious, and have better entertainment systems, so it's a win-win for everyone.
All right, our final topic for today's deep dive is about a service called JetLink, which is offered by the Hong Kong Business Aviation Center, HKBAC, in partnership with Cathay Pacific.
Ah, yes, JetLink. It's a really interesting concept. It's specifically designed to make the travel experience smoother for those who are connecting between commercial flights and private jets.
Right, so it's targeting those premium travelers who are flying first or business class on Cathay Pacific and then hopping onto a private jet, or vice versa.
Exactly. And the idea is to make that transition as seamless and efficient as possible.
Because typically those transfers can be a bit of a hassle, right?
Yeah.
Dealing with customs, immigration, all of that.
Yeah, it can be a lot of waiting around, a lot of time wasted. So JetLink aims to eliminate all of that. It's a fully escorted airside transfer, so passengers don't have to go through the usual arrival and departure procedures.
So they basically bypass all of that.
Pretty much, yeah. They're whisked across the terminals directly to their next flight with all the privacy and security they need.
And how much time does that actually save them?
The article mentions that it can save up to a third of the usual transfer time. So instead of an hour and 15 minutes, it could be as little as 45 minutes.
Wow, that's a big difference.
Yeah, especially for busy executives or high net worth individuals, time is money, right? So this kind of service can be really valuable.
And the quotes from the article really highlight the different perspectives on JetLink. Vivian Lau, the CEO of HKBAC, talks about how this service complements commercial aviation and strengthens Hong Kong's position as a transit hub. And then Cheek Lo from Cathay Pacific emphasizes their commitment to providing the best possible experience for their premium customers.
Yeah, it's a smart move from both sides. It allows HKBAC to expand its services and attract a new segment of customers, and it gives Cathay Pacific a competitive edge by offering this unique and convenient service.
And they even give some specific examples of how JetLink is being used, like business executives from London connecting to private jets for flights to mainland China, or investors arriving from the Middle East on private jets and then transferred to Cathay Pacific First Class.
It really paints a picture of the kind of traveler who benefits most from this service.
Right. These are people who are used to a certain level of convenience and efficiency, and they're willing to pay for it.
Exactly. And while most of us might not be flying on private jets anytime soon, I think the development of services like JetLink is still relevant. It shows that the travel industry is constantly looking for ways to improve the passenger experience, to make things more efficient and enjoyable.
And who knows, maybe some of these innovations that are initially designed for premium travelers will eventually become more widely available.
Maybe, yeah. We could see airports become more streamlined, more efficient for everyone. It's definitely something to keep an eye on.
So to wrap up this deep dive, it's clear that the aviation industry is undergoing some pretty remarkable transformations. We've seen a strong commitment to sustainability, with significant investments in SAF technology. We've seen airlines modernizing their fleets with more fuel-efficient and passenger-friendly aircraft. And we've seen a growing focus on providing premium passengers with a seamless and highly personalized travel experience.
Absolutely. And these developments are all interconnected. The investments in SAF need to be supported by the adoption of efficient aircraft, and the enhanced passenger experiences rely on both the modern aircraft and the streamlined processes that we've been discussing.
It's really exciting to see how this is all unfolding. And it makes you wonder, what other unexpected collaborations or innovations might we see in the future? How will emerging technologies further transform air travel? What will the passenger experience be like 10, 20 years from now?
It's a fascinating time to be following the aviation industry. There's so much potential for change, so much room for innovation.
And that's what makes it so exciting to cover on the deep dive. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of technology and innovation.
See you then.